So when one looks at a person who displays the orphan heart, what do they look like? Well, there are three things I want to talk about here. One is they're someone who's in great pain. For whatever reason, this individual is experiencing loss. There's loss of security. You'll see fear, hopelessness, no peace in the heart of one who suffers from the orphan spirit. There's a loss of belonging. We see these individuals searching for identity, and yet they're very lonely, and they stay very isolated because they don't connect well with people. They have a loss of value. They feel worthless. They suffer rejection and sadness. And more importantly, they have a loss of trust. They're very suspicious and critical of others. They also view authority as a source of pain. Why? Because those who are supposed to love them have deserted and rejected them. And because they have a low trust level in those who are in authority, they will reject authority and thereby reject order, especially God-appointed order. So they're unable to see God as a loving Father, but they can only see God as a strict taskmaster. Secondly, their orphan heart is one who's relationally challenged. They're very independent. They're relationally shallow. They will establish walls to protect themselves. These are individuals that will operate really well in a business relationship, but they do not operate very well in intimacy. They're not grounded and rooted in God relationally, and because of that, they like to do things. They're very active. These are people that are very active in church. Give them a job to do, and they'll do it, but begin to get close to them and get close to their heart and their soul, and they'll begin to pull away because they do not do intimacy very well. They're very non-disclosing, and they oftentimes will keep people at arm's length. Why? Because they don't want to get close to you. If you get close to me, then they'll begin to sabotage the relationship out of fear because they really don't want you to know who they think they really are. Because they believe that if you really begin to know who they are, then you will reject them like everybody else has rejected them, especially the mother and the father. So they cannot understand that God is their shelter. They cannot process that God is their provider. They will run from place to place trying to improve themselves because they have to use works as the form of being accepted, because they cannot accept relationally that Jesus loves them and that the Father has received them as a son. They will look for formulas, and they will look for devices and ways to get better, only to find out that nothing that they try to do to get better will ever make them better, because it's an issue with the mindset. The mindset has to be changed. And long-term commitments are difficult, and they're difficult because of tremendous challenges that they have with authority. That's number two, tremendous challenges with authority, because order to them equates to control. And when an orphan-hearted person steps into a setting of stability and order and proper alignment, or begins to get close to someone who's going to lead them, they actually, what I call, go on tilt. They will tilt. They'll begin to undermine and destroy the relationship. And in that setting, they'll oftentimes look for a leader to say one thing wrong, either in a sermon or in an exchange, and when they do, then it just proves to them that they're not who they say they are, and it gives them the right to leave, and so they're gone. These are people that will come to church, that will work themselves to pieces, but you say one thing wrong to them, and then you're just like everybody else, and they're going to leave, and they're going to be critical of you on the way out as they leave and go to the next church, the next setting, and repeat the process all over again, because they have a wounded soul, and they have a broken heart, and they need to be healed. These are the people that will tend to migrate to the latest and greatest and the most anointed, and choose that over a stable order with stable leadership. We're seeing that today, to be honest with you, in some of the deliverance meetings that are going on in some of our communities. They're going to these large crowds where demons are being cast out of people, and they like the excitement and they like the dynamic. But if it gets too close to them, then they're going to run, because they cannot ever allow individuals to know who they really are and what they are really about. So submission then equates to manipulation. You'll often hear them say, I don't need you, I just need God. Well, that's true in one sense. Yes, we need God. But the truth is we also need one another as well. And others may require constant encouragement from authority figures just so they'll be okay. They seek affirmation because they need that affirmation to feel like that as a person that they have worth and they have value and that they are important in life. Sometimes when demands are made for them to grow up and to mature, then they're going to leave and criticize because they'll bolt and run, and what I say, bite. They'll bite you on the way out of the church because you've touched a nerve in their wounded soul. They're oftentimes very fiercely independent. They can be very lawless and be unwilling to be bridled. And then thirdly, the orphan heart is one who strives, believe it or not, to be accepted and to be loved. Can I tell you, we all need to be loved and we all need acceptance. They easily will fall into soul ties. They will latch onto someone whom they can connect with emotionally and soulically, and they'll become codependent upon those individuals. They will become perfectionistic to prove their worth. They'll work hard for recognition, or if not recognized, then they have no motivation to work at all. You see, they're unable to reach out to others or only reach out as a mechanism to draw attention to themselves. They need to be recognized, and that often can lead to rivalry and to jealousy and to competition. We'll see these individuals in our churches where they've got to be heard and they've got to be seen, and their voice has to be the loudest and their revelation has to be the greatest, because truth of the matter is they're trying to gain affirmation and recognition that as a person they are okay and that they are accepted and that they are valued and loved. These guys will work themselves to the bone in the church because it becomes their identity. Church becomes their identity. Their position becomes their identity. Their role in the church becomes their identity. So if you shift them out of their jobs and move them into another place, oftentimes you just remove their identity. And if they think someone is trying to take their place, they will fight, they will war to maintain their position, because their position and their title has become who they are.